Hi everyone, yasas que kalos to another episode of Dimitra's Dishes. Today I'm going to teach you how to make a delicious and comforting creamy chicken and white bean soup that's going to be ready in under an hour. The whole family is going to love this one. Let's get started. Okay, so we're going to begin by preparing the vegetables. I have one onion, it's a large onion, just a plain yellow onion that I'm just going to peel and finely chop and put it in my pot. Then you can add 2 to 3 carrots. These are smaller carrots, so I'm just going to add 3. I always peel them first because they turn too brown if I leave the peel on. So just peel them, and then I'm just going to dice these up as well. And then these 2 celery sticks, I've rinsed them really well. A lot of times celery has lots of dirt on it, so be sure to rinse it. And then I'm just going to dice that up really small too. Add that to the pot with some olive oil, about 3 to 4 tablespoons. And a little pinch of salt. And I'm going to cook these over medium heat until they're nice and soft and slightly golden. That's going to take about 10 minutes. Once that happens, I have 6 garlic cloves that are grated. I'm just going to add those to the pot and warm them through until the garlic is nice and fragrant. That just takes a few seconds because it's grated. You don't want to cook it too much so that way it doesn't brown and burn. Then I have 1.5 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken thighs that I'm going to add to my pot over here. If you like chicken with the bone in, you can add that. It'll definitely have more flavor. Season the chicken with salt and pepper and just warm it through on both sides and season both sides again with salt and pepper. Then I'm going to go in with about 2 tablespoons of butter. This is just regular salted butter. I'm just going to add that in with 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. Mix that up so that way everything is nice and coated and the flour begins to cook a little bit and loses a little bit of that raw taste and gets toasted. At this point, I'll add a few crushed red pepper flakes for heat. If you don't like the heat, you can definitely leave them out. A heaping teaspoon of dried oregano and a teaspoon of dried thyme. And then I'll add 6 to 8 cups of chicken broth. Just go ahead and add that and mix it all up. Bring the mixture to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, reduce it to a simmer, put the lid on the pot, and let it simmer for about 25 minutes or until the chicken is fully cooked. Once the chicken is fully cooked, go ahead and take it out of the pot and just shred it with 2 forks. It's going to be really hot, and then add it back to the pot. While the chicken was cooking before, I just went ahead and I prepared the rest of the ingredients. So I love the flavor of sun-dried tomatoes. They're sweet, they're a little bit smoky. They just add really nice flavor. I have about 7, 8 of them that are packed in oil, and I'm just going to roughly chop them and set them aside because they're going to go in the soup later on. And then I love to top this soup with lots of fresh flavor. So I'm making a gremolata, which is basically just some fresh parsley. I have a handful of fresh parsley that I've washed, and I'm just going to pat it dry on these towels so that way the gremolata is not going to be watery. And I'm going to finely chop this. Then I'm going to zest 2 lemons on top of it. And I'm also going to finely chop 2 garlic cloves. I like to add a little bit of salt to the garlic cloves when I'm chopping them because it really helps break them down and it also adds flavor. Then I'm just going to mix this all up and give it one more rough chop, and I'm going to add it all to a bowl with the juice of a lemon. I'm also going to add some lemon juice for the freshness and just to moisten it up a bit. And then I always like to buy the sun-dried tomatoes that are packed in olive oil. That oil has so much flavor. I'm just going to drizzle some of that oil over these herbs, and it's just going to add a really nice kick of flavor to it. Mix it all up, and I'm going to set it aside to top my soup with this when it's all done. And then I have a can of cannellini beans. I love cannellini beans because they're creamy and they just add such nice flavor. I like to just rinse them in the can. I just open the can with a can opener, and then I drain the liquid that's in there. I add some cool water to it a few times, rinsing with the lid on just to save one more thing from needing to be washed, like a strainer. That's all ready to go. Once the chicken is back in the pot and it's fully cooked, I'm going to add the beans to the pot, the sun-dried tomatoes, a hefty cup of heavy whipping cream, and I'm just going to cook this and give it a nice mix, and I'm going to let it cook for about 10 to 15 minutes so that way the beans can soften. They're also going to thicken the soup a little more. At this point, you're going to want to go in and taste it and adjust the seasoning of the soup, add some more salt or pepper or maybe some red pepper flakes if you think it needs it. If it's looking a little bit too thick to you, you can definitely go in and add some more broth to this and just make it the consistency that you like. And that's it. The soup is ready to go. I like to top this with lots of fresh grated Parmesan. If you like feta, you can add feta to this. If you have kefalograviera, that would be lovely in it. And you're just gonna scoop this up and put it into bowls and serve it with some toasted bread. It's gonna be so cozy and delicious. Okay, so the soup is ready and it smells so divine. I love the way that the soup tastes. It comes together again in such little time. Here are some tips and some things that you can swap out if you want to. So I'm using boneless, skinless chicken thighs because if you've been with me long enough, you know that I love them. I always have them on hand. But you can use a whole chicken for this. If you have a rotisserie chicken or leftover roast chicken, that will also work in here. If you love chicken breast, feel free to use that as well. Of course, if you use any kind of chicken that has a bone in, it'll have much more flavor. It'll make a richer broth, but there's so much flavor in the soup as is. You're gonna have to trust me, you're gonna love it. The gremolata is just a little like kiss on top. It really brings everything all together and brightens everything up. Sometimes creamy soups can be a little bit heavy, but this is not anything like that. It has just the right amount of creaminess, but it's still light and brothy and really fresh tasting. I think you guys are gonna love it. If you're not a fan of beans, totally leave them out. You can use some pasta in this instead. Orzo pasta is nice. Even tortellini, which is a little bit big for this, but it will work if you have it. Whatever your favorite pasta is, you can use rice in it if you want. You can make this a little bit more healthy by adding some cauliflower to it. Let me know what changes you're making in the comment section down below. I always love to hear how you recreate the recipes. It's time for the taste test. Oh my goodness. There's just so much flavor in it. It's so good. I really need some bread to dip in this and just get all that luscious broth into it. It's so tasty. The family is gonna love this one. You can head on over to the website to print the recipe out. Again, I love to hear how you're making it in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. I'll see you all next time. Gracias.